Good morning, guys. There is a new Splatoon 3 patch on the horizon, and it has a lot of interesting changes. And trust me, one of the changes, I mean, you probably already see it from the thumbnail, is so healthy for the game that you're going to love it. So let's not waste any more time, let's go into it straight away. This is going to be patch 7.2 that's going to be releasing today if you're in America, and tomorrow if you're from Europe, Japan, and everywhere else on the east side of the world. We saw this happening because recently they announced that the terrain in Undertale Spillway was going to be changed in all modes. They made a post about, I think, 1 or 2 days ago about it, and they said it would come back in the 17th. So we could expect basically some more patch and weapon changes as well. So let's get into it because some of them are really interesting. Starting with the Sploosh-o-matic, Neo-Sploosh-o-matic, slightly expanded the shot's collision detection with players to make it easier to hit opponents. Ooh. Wait, I actually like that. All right, first of all, when I read this, it was like 3 a.m. I thought this was a Splash-o-matic, but this is actually the Sploosh-o-matic. I have noticed that the Sploosh-o-matic has been actually quite inconsistent when it comes to hitting people. So this is actually really good because back in Splatoon 1, this thing used to actually really hit. Splatoon 3, this thing feels like it doesn't hit so well, so maybe this will actually help the Sploosh actually hit a little bit more, so that's good. Moving on to the Splattershot Pro, which is I think a lot of people are going to really like. The maximum damage has been increased from 42 to 45 damage. That's a really big jump because every single 2 times you hit somebody, it's going to go straight to 90. So anybody who's running around, if they've taken 10 health of damage, you're 2 hitting people. Now it's great that the weapon is stronger. This is actually going to really help its fall off damage as well. So you always got to look at that when there is a damage buff for anything, that the fall off damage that that weapon has is also been increased. So you know what I would really love to see them do again is if they buffed the shot velocity and the range by like 5% with this weapon like they did in Splatoon 1, because I don't know, I've been playing that game recently, which you probably heard so much of right now, but I've been playing that game recently, and that weapon specifically has longer range than the 96 gal. And although it wasn't like at the top of the meta, it was a very usable weapon where it felt really nice just to be able to have all this range to work with. I wonder if they'll ever do that again or look into doing that again, because I feel like that would actually set apart the Splattershot Pro from other weapons, or just make it stand alone, just a really good weapon again. But yeah, damage buff, really good. For the Splattershot Nova, they've reduced the shot spread while on land by approximately 8%. So the Splattershot Nova is 8% more accurate, which is quite nice, so you're going to hit more things consistently. The H-Nozzlenose maximum damage has been increased from 41 to 43 damage. Just like the Splattershot Pro, it's got up by 3 damage, so the fall-off damage of this weapon is going to be much stronger. I don't think this actually will fix the H-Street's problems, because the H-Street's problems, I feel like, it's too sluggish. Like, there's something about it where it's just too sluggish, which makes it struggle a whole lot more. So I feel like if they attend that, then it'll make it a lot better. But having extra damage, especially with the H3, is very good. It can change the weapon greatly, especially because in Splatoon 2, if you put a lot of damage on the H3, then it would actually just make the weapon just a whole lot better. So I do really like that they're actually looking into the weapons that had main power up and were increased by damage, and they're just increasing the damage just by a little bit, not like to 49 damage to make it 2-shot, but this is a good start because the fall off damage is going to be much stronger, and I believe they actually increased the fall off damage of the H3 in a previous patch as well, so this is also really good. For the Lunar Blaster, they've increased the radius of ink splatter at the point of impact with terrain or when detonated in midair by approximately 20%. The Lunar Blaster is going to actually paint? Okay. That's what I'm reading. 20% is a big chunk. Like a big chunk of splatter, actually. So that's what it seems like. It seems like the Lunar Blast is actually going to be able to paint decently. So yeah, that might be fun to actually play around with. For the S-Blast, they've increased the radius of the 50 damage explosion for long flight range shots by about 11%. This buff is actually so helpful for the S-Blast, because previously doing long range firing shots, just trying to get chip on other people, it basically never happened. Like, the blast had to be so close to someone that you practically were already directing them anyway. So this kind of radius will actually allow the S-Blast to have like chip like a Rapid Blaster. Well, maybe not close to a Rapid Blaster, but a little bit better, so that actually feels like you can actually go for long range partial shots. So for the Painbrush, they've increased inking width when holding the ZR button to ink while moving forward by approximately 18%. That's an interesting bump. So just like running, you're just going to produce more paint. Cool. And they've also shortened the time before ink starts recovering after holding the ZR button to ink while moving forward by about 10 frames. So basically you start recovering ink faster when you're running. So interesting buff, I guess. That's a bit it. I'm actually gonna try this weapon again, especially the Tenta missile variant of this weapon, because I feel like that weapon specifically is actually very slept on. So I'm gonna give it another go, and you guys will see it in some point. For the Dapple Dualies, the movement speed while firing is now increased by about 5%. So, wow, okay. So now you're just going to be speeding around with the Dapple Dualies. I wonder if you add any run speed to that, it's going to make it even faster because of that 5%. So, Dapple Dualies is just going to feel so much more fluid, so that's kind of cool. And now we're moving on to the special weapon changes, and there are some actually really good ones, so you're going to want to listen up for this. Big Bubbler. They've reduced damage dealt to inner device and top section by approximately 22%. Can't tell you guys enough how huge this is. If main weapons are just fighting just a big bubbler, the big bubbler is going to stand strong, which is exactly something that is needed. With this, it's hopefully actually going to feel like a shield, where it's actually shielding things. So basically every weapon that has big bubbler currently, like Splattershot Jr., maybe even H3D, which, well, maybe, I don't know, I'm not too sure about H3D. But the Zimmy Splatling, the Recycled Brella, like everything, like a bunch of weapons that used the big bubbler before, it's just now way more worth it to actually use it. So still have to look out for things like triple ink stripe, because I feel like, I mean, other specials is going to be much more of a problem. But main weapons, yeah, main weapons, it's going to have a little bit more of a time where it's going to struggle against big bubbler. So this is very, very good change. The Splattercolor screen increased the damage dealt to opponents who touch the screen from 30 to 40 damage. This is just a nice welcomed buff. Didn't even really need it, because I feel like, I mean, it actually makes it more scarier, because the Splattercolor screen is kind of one of those specials where it's just like a psychological mental thing, where people are going to be scared to not take damage or have to now move around the wall or run away from the rule. Now the mental battle of just like dealing with a Splattercolor screen is going to be just a more annoying, because now you have to think, instead of 30 damage, you're going to take 40 damage, which is just like, okay, I definitely don't want to take 40 damage, because that's so much damage to take just by walking through a wall. So yeah, I don't even feel like it really needed this, to be very honest. So alright, welcome buff. For triple splashdown, they've reduced the amount of time it takes for the player and ink fist to start dropping after they rise up by about 10 frames? They're buffing triple splashdown to be faster? Okay. Wait, okay. Triple splashdown is going to be so much faster now with that. All right. If you're in close range of any triple splashdown, you are basically dead. That's actually really scary. They've also decreased the radius of the 60 damage explosion by approximately 13%. Which, okay, so from longer range, it's going to be not as strong. But super close range, that is a big change. Super close range, you're going to die by triple splashdown. Obviously, we don't know how it's going to be until we actually try it for ourselves, but watch out for triple splashdown, because that thing is going to be so much faster. And lastly, Kraken Royale made it so that super jumping to an ally using Kraken will super jump to the location where that ally started using Kraken from, rather than the ally current position. If you play Clam Blitz and you've noticed someone's used Kraken and they're Krakening right under the basket just for free, taking up all that space, and then you notice, oh, someone with a power climb is now jumping to your basket and there's absolutely nothing you can do. This is basically a nerf to that, which is such a welcomed nerf, because there was actually almost no counterplay to it unless like you had like a tacticaler and you put it on the jump itself. So now you actually have to formulate a push to actually play Clam Blitz and actually score points, which is so welcomed, because Kraken jumping and doing stuff like that, we can't lie, it's very, very cheesy. I mean, I feel like it might still be possible, but like if someone Kraken jumps or uses Kraken just to get a jump, the jump is going to have to be at the very end of that person's Kraken, just so that they can actually get close to the basket. In specific overtime situations, I feel like you're going to have to Kraken extremely early just to get towards the basket or get somewhat close to the basket, and then get that person to jump afterwards. So, but 100%, it's not going to be so easy to actually like make that happen. So this is a very good nerf that Kraken Royale has received, and it makes it so much healthier for the game. So, and now moving on to special nerfs and special buffs. So the Neo Splash-o-matic has gone, well, buffed actually from 210 to 200. Ends up 89 has been buffed from 180 to set 170, so that's super chump. The Carbon Roller has been buffed from 170 to 160. This is Zipcaster. Gold Dynamo with Super Jump has been buffed from 190 to 180. The Splat Charger and Splatter Scope 200 to 190, so that's the ink vac. Dapple Dualies 180 to 170, which is Tacticolor, so you can have more Tacticolors just from the Dapple Dualies. The Splattershot and Squeezer. Splattershot gone up from 200 to 210, and Squeezer gone from 210 to 220, so there's going to be much less Ink Zuka output, which is actually very welcome because sometimes you might get too many Ink Zukas and all that. Range Blaster. Range Blaster is just such a strong slaying weapon, and it's going from 200 to 210. I can understand, so it's just like it can't support itself as much while using Raid Breaker. And the Snipe Writer, very, very much needed, but I also feel like it should go to 220. It's gone up from 200 to 210, but I definitely feel like it needs to go to 220 because this weapon paints a whole ton. But maybe in the next patch that will actually happen, and maybe it's just the thing that they need to see how the Sniper Reticle works with 210 first before they move it to 220. So yeah, this is going to be a really interesting patch. I think a lot of people are going to welcome this. Less Zuka output, a little bit less Zuka Tactical output from the Snipe Writer, but we'll have to wait and see without that because that might be, I mean, if it can be changed with Special Charge and all that, but depends. But Big Bubbler is super, super interesting. I feel like there may be a whole lot more Big Bubbler weapons that actually start seeing a lot more play, and I'm super happy about that because I feel like that special needs to get more usage, and more people should try to get to use it and all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to how Big Bubbler actually gets to be played. Splattercolor screen. I think Splattercolor screen was already really, really good, but slapped on completely because people don't understand mental aspects about gaming. So that's also really interesting to see that that's even a thing that's happening. Triple Splashdown is going to be more scary, so that's something. The Splattershot Pro and H-Nozzlenose, I'm interested to see how that plays now because they're going to be just much stronger weapons. And the Lunar Blaster getting much more pain and less Blaster being able to hit things better. Yeah, no, these are some really, really good buffs. Nova as well, being able to be just a little bit more accurate too. These are some really, really good buffs. These are some really, really good buffs. This might change the game a little bit. We're going to have to wait and see. I'm interested to see what you guys in the comment section below think about this patch because there's a lot of stuff to really dissect. The Kraken nerf, very, very much welcomed. Like, there's so much good stuff. There's so much good stuff. So, yeah, man, I'm interested to see. I'm going to try it tonight. Well, I'm going to play Splatoon 3 tonight on stream, but won't be trying out the patch it specifically. But yeah, either way, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Check out the streams. Check out everything. Check out last video. And yeah, like the video if you enjoyed this one because I really, really appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel for more, of course. So yeah, guys. All right, that's all from me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I shall see you guys in a future video.